Good morning. It's Friday, November 8th, 2019, and we are live from KVEC's Holler Broadcasting Studio. And I am joined by three of our very handsome and talented engineers. And we're going to take just a minute so they can introduce themselves and their expertise, even though they work great as a team on all sorts of projects related to the innovative work that we do here at KVEC and in the region supporting our schools and students. So, to my right.
Hey everyone, I'm Tanner Brown, one of the Holler engineers here at Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative. I handle more of the social media side, and as you all get innovations out in your classrooms, we try to come out, capture the moment, and then I make stories, and another Holler engineer named Adrian Smith will bring that all to life via video. So, next.
I'm Chad Perry. I am the drone and robotics specialist here at KVEC. I work with schools on drones, computer coding, robots, pretty much anything to do with that form of technology.
Howdy, I'm Alex Smith. I'm a Holler engineer as well. I handle the VR lab and pretty much workshops, so bringing students here, making sure they have a good experience while they're spending their time in the VR lab and teach them everything we can.
Thank you, good men. The purpose of sitting down having a conversation today is last year we had some really good experiences exporting virtual reality programs and experiences in the schools based on student experiences at the transition conference, because in many instances, even though the VR Ed session was a staple at the transition conferences, not all students could enjoy them because everybody can't go to that one session, even though it's very popular for obvious reasons. So one thing we did is working with teachers and schools, and we exported the VR experiences. As such, even though we always had success and students had a lot of fun, and teachers really enjoyed watching their students engage in the different VR experiences, which very organically and naturally cultivate those all-important technical and soft skills that are so important moving forward for our young people. We did encounter a number of unexpected technological challenges, and even though the engineers are really quick and talented and adept at solving some of those problems, there's such a small margin as far as a time window to get things fixed or find a workaround before students are piling into the library, which is typically the space where we host the virtual reality experiences. So we discussed creating this 10-minute video vignette to kind of talk through the different VR experiences, because we have wired, but we also now have wireless. And both of them have some different needs, because we want not only for students to take turns having virtual reality experiences, but we want to also project these experiences on the big screens typically available in library spaces in our schools that we're exporting this VR experience to, because that also is very much a part of the workshop. So, with that being said, we're going to just kind of panel through the engineers, and they're going to talk a little bit about the different VR experiences, as well as the different programmatic simulations that are available. For lack of a better description, the games, even though some of these games are very pre-ETS based. So, Tanner?
I will talk about one. It's called Ritchies Planck Experience. And you're in a city kind of like New York, and some of the experiences within the experience you can do is go up and walk a plank. You're on top of a hotel, we'll say. You go up listening to an elevator, listening to hotel music, and when you get to the top, it's going to feel like you're on top of the world. Your balance, will be a little off or on, and the students just really enjoy this one. It's when you walk off, you feel like, you're falling, just like a roller coaster. There's also another experience within this where you can have a jetpack and you can fly around as a firefighter and put out fires around the city. And besides that, you can also just walk around the city, feel like you're in New York, a place maybe you've never been before, and it's a really good time, and all students really enjoy it.
Now, a question to you, Tanner, to our audience, is that Planck experience and jetpack flying around the city
Yes.
experience, is that a wired VR experience or a wireless or potentially both?
It is both now,
Okay.
actually. It
Okay.
is both, and since you're untethered from a computer now, you can explore the city a little easier while just walking. So you don't, just in case you have a fear of heights, you can still experience it.
Okay. So, Alex, could you talk to us a little bit more about how we can ensure success in schools? Again, to our audience, our teachers, because that's where this video is going to go out to. We really need a library. We need some space because we will have anywhere from 15 to potentially 40 students taking turns, but also watching on a big screen. So we need a big screen. Mondo pads don't always work. They've got a little age to them. Sometimes the audio doesn't work. And if we don't have audio, then the students who are watching while they're waiting their turn don't have the full experience. So since you have been on the team as we've exported this over the past year as well as at the transition conferences, can you talk a little bit about some technological challenges that we may experience and what our teachers can do in working with their building technology coordinators to ready the space for us so that when we get there, even though we're there preparing an hour in advance, we don't have any technological challenges?
Okay, well, one of the biggest issues we come into, we'll go into a room like a library per se, and all the desks and the tables will all still be set up. And that takes time away from our setup, so we have to tear down that library, we have to move everything off to the side and create a workspace for us to work in. Typically, we'll try and run 2 VR experiences when we go to a school, so that requires a lot of space to have 2 students roaming around in VR. So we need 2 sort of open areas that students can run around in, and also a viewing space to where students can watch from their seats or standing up 2 monitors which project those VR experiences. So to reiterate, we need 2 big open areas, a viewing space for students to sit at, and then 2 places for the monitors to sit at to be viewed.
And really, a cafeteria, a gymnasium, really not going to work because, again, typically we encounter Wi-Fi challenges in those spaces, not so much so in the library for obvious reasons. But speaking of Wi-Fi, can you also address the Wi-Fi needs that we may have, access that we may have, that teachers can work with their building technology coordinators to make sure that Wi-Fi capability is provided to us in advance?
Okay, yeah, I can talk about that. Well, we have a Google Chromecast, which is actually used with the new wireless system that we have, and therefore we need to have open access to at least one network. This can be provided via a hotspot by a phone, or if the school has a guest Wi-Fi, then we can connect both the Quest and the Chromecast to that network, and they will be able to talk to each other, and we can project the VR experiences onto whatever screen we want, as the Google Chromecast has the HDMI port to it.
Okay, so that's the wireless experience. If for some reason the wireless equipment is not available as we're exporting a VR experience to a school and we take the wired VR equipment, are there any different needs that we may have as far as being able to access a network, whether that's a hotspot via phone, which we don't recommend because typically our workshops last a couple hours in the morning and in the afternoon, and a phone just can't handle it.
No.
Right? So zip the phone, even though it'll work. You know, if we were just there for an hour, it'd probably be okay. But typically, when we export, our service region is the size of the state of Connecticut. We are there all day, and so we really need access to the network. Typically, the guest network or the student network server may have some firewalls in place that could cause us some issues that we don't even know exist. So it may be better to ask your building technology coordinator, albeit for that day, to give us access to the administrative server if that's at all possible.
Yes.
It has been done in other districts. I know Pike County, as I do VR experiences in Pike County schools or robotics, I have access to the administrative network, and that's not a problem. So hopefully we can make that work.
Yes.
But talk a little bit more about any technological challenges that we may have, wired versus wireless, as it relates to the screens that we may be using. Are there cable challenges, whether it's HDMI cables or other cables that we may need, or audio challenges? I know that's been a challenge for us, Tanner and I. There were several times where we thought we had everything figured out and we didn't have any sound. And that just really dampens the experience, because everybody can see this cool stuff going on, but they can't hear it, right? So, talk a little bit more about that. Chad, chime in if you wish.
Okay. Tanner, you want to lead on this one?
For the cable part, mostly we have everything we need. We will bring it with us. Now, when it comes to the audio, the Mondo boards, the updates, they may need updates. It's just really whatever we have. As long as we're communicating back and forth with you teachers, we'll really kind of know what we'll need to bring when it comes to that. Maybe your TV, Mondo pad, right? Any TV has an HDMI now. Maybe it's on the wall. Maybe we can't just push it around wherever we need it to be. If that's the case, if we're bringing wired, we'll need to be closer to that area, of course. Other than that,
Okay.
as long as we communicate well with each other, we should be just fine.
And don't assume that everything that you have works because somebody in the building told you it works.
Right.
You may want to manufacture a little bit of time. I know you don't have much time. But you might want to take a little bit of time or ask somebody to help check to make sure that the screen that we're going to use works and that the audio works. That will really make a big difference, because students get really disappointed when we come there. We've got all this cool stuff. We've got these neat experiences, and many of them are, and we'll walk through some more of the experiences in just a moment, but it's really disappointing to the students when they can't really enjoy the full virtual reality experience. And this is all cutting edge stuff that is not available to most students in schools across the state, much less the nation. So we have a decided advantage in this arena, and we certainly want to maximize it. And just a few weeks ago, at our most recent KVEC region-wide transition conferences in Prestonsburg at Big Sandy Community Technical College, I promised all the students and teachers that if you did not get to enjoy a VR experience, that we would do our best at some point this year to bring it to your school. So we are trying to fulfill our promise to you, and also helping you prepare for that possibility. So let's talk a little bit about the experiences. Tanner, you talked about the Planck experience.
Yes.
Chad, if you want to talk about maybe some of the job simulation experiences, that would be great.
Yeah, the job simulator that we have is really, it's great. You can either be an office worker, a store clerk, even a mechanic. You get to experience, like let's say a store clerk. You get to experience everything that you would do working at, let's say, a gas station.
Yeah, it's animated,
Yeah.
so at first glance it looks a little bit cartoonish, but once you start playing,
Yeah, once you start
that
playing,
job
scanning,
simulation.
You're scanning, you're filling up
experience.
drinks for people,
Yeah.
making orders.
Even though it's animated, it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
pretty
even
accurate.
as a mechanic, you have to change the tires, you
That's
change
right.
the oil, add some gas to the vehicles. It's a good time.
So thanks, Chad. Okay, so we'll move on to some other experiences,
Yeah, we actually have.
maybe some new ones that
yeah.
I may not even be aware of.
Well, we haven't talked about Fantastic Contraption yet.
Yeah,
That one.
that's an interesting one. I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of that one, but I'll hush, and but others
Talk about the
like it.
puzzles, the puzzle one with the with the team building.
Oh yeah. What's
We've got to create a better cheat
Better,
sheet
yeah,
for that
yeah.
diffusal
Yeah, diffusing.
experience. It's a
Diffusion.
great team experience, but I think if we do that, as we move forward, we're going to have to take that manual and try to make it easier to get through because it's a little bit cryptic and there are too many pages.
Yeah.
And everything happens real fast.
Very fast.
I mean, we just have, basically 2 class periods, and if we're trying to get 20 students in teams of 3 through the diffusal experience, it makes it tough when you give them that manual. It's about 12 pages long, and they just look at it like, really?
Yeah, they do. They do,
So-
and it is a little overwhelming.
For sure.
So I'm just thinking out loud, but that's something that I think we can do because that is a really cool, fun experience that really puts them in a situation to demonstrate those all-important soft skills, which is what we're after, right? At the end of the day, as well as leadership skills.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Any other experiences? Of course, there's always the lightsaber.
There's a staple one,
That's the icebreaker for the shy ones.
It is.
Yeah.
For you out there that's ever played Guitar Hero, it is similar to that. You're in the experience. Your controllers work as lightsabers, and you're kind of dancing and playing to the beat.
Yep.
And everyone loves it.
And you get to pick your
Yeah,
genre of music
genre of
as well.
music, whatever you're into, really.
So we've got hip hop, we've got country, we've got a little bit of
You
everything.
got it all.
So I'm not sure we have any Shawn Menendez
No.
or Selena Gomez music yet, but so it's maybe a little bit more dated, but it's still pretty contemporary.
Yes.
No, you're right.
So, any other tips for our teachers who are going to see this video to help us prepare? Sometimes we forget our carts. I always try to bring one. Sometimes we forget our cleaning stuff.
Yes.
And I always try to bring that too, and I know you all always do because, I'm a little fastidious. Other people don't care, but if I'm going to wear a Vive headset that somebody else has worn, I want to wipe it off.
So we do our best after each time
We
to
do.
disinfect.
We clean.
Yes.
We do, because we don't want anybody to get any bugaboos.
Especially this time of year.
Yes,
No, we don't want
indeed.
anything like that.
But this has been fun, men.
Yes, it's been a
Yes.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother man.
Thank you.
All right. We'll hopefully be able to see you soon.
Holler at you later.
Holler at you later.
Peace.